Welcome to Curated Stories. We are back again, and if you both could introduce yourself and your brand.
Hi, my name is Chavi, and I'm the co-founder of Atrangi. We do chutneys, curry sauces, and marinades, and of course, we bring a large selection. Um, to tell you a bit about myself, I'm from India.
Yep.
I've been born and brought up in New Delhi, and then I moved here to study in the UK, 11 years ago now. I studied finance all throughout my life. I went to Warwick, then went to Imperial, and ended up doing a very good, nice, high paying mergers and acquisition job. And then, of course, left all of it to build our brand together.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I'm Keith.
Yep.
I'm also the co-founder of Atrangi. I tell you a bit more about myself. I moved here 17 years ago now. Similar to Chavi, I did my undergrad, my master's from the UK. I did my schooling from India, and then went into a corporate job, similar to Chavi. Went into didn't really enjoy that side
Yeah.
of the world. And then we decided one day to start our brand. And here we are.
Perfect. Well, it takes me to the next question. So, what inspired you to start creating your sauces, chutneys, and marinades? I mean, obviously, from the corporate jobs to then say, let's throw this. And what made you decide to do that?
So I think this goes back to my family, my kind of roots and
Yeah.
culture, and I'd say when I was a kid, I used to see my dad in the kitchen quite a lot. He
Yep.
used to make chutneys, sauces, marinades, dips, whatnot, everything. We never went outside to buy these condiments. I've grown up with all these sort of recipes and stuff. So I think that's the first part. And then the second part of our story is that, we met in London. We were both doing our jobs, and we also run a page together, which is a food blogging page,
Yep.
which is separate to Atrangi,
Sure.
which is kind of interlinked.
Yeah.
So we used to go to a lot of Indian, Southeast Asian restaurants, try different foods, different flavors. So what we found there was, to put it in the nicest of ways, I think Southeast Asian food is marketed as Indian food
Yeah.
in a lot of places.
Mm.
But what we felt was that the original authentic Indian food was losing its identity.
Yeah.
That's what we felt.
Yeah.
It was a bit more greasy,
Yeah.
oily. The
Yep.
takeaways didn't feel nice. You felt
Yeah.
really bloated
Yep.
and really heavy after having naan breads
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
really greasy food. So that's where the idea actually came from. We sat there one day and we were having my dad's chutneys and sauces and with our,
Yep.
grilled chicken, grilled
Yep.
fish, just on the side, and we just started talking about it. And we were like, you know what? Why don't we bring this to Britain, to
Perfect.
this market?
Yeah.
I think people should try the real authentic flavors. We bring in a lot of good stuff. There's no nasties. It's gluten-free. It's preservative-free. And people can cook some really easy meals with all our jars.
Yeah.
It's super easy to make a curry sauce with a curry masala paste, for example. Just 3 steps and
Yep.
you're good to go without having to do a greasy takeaway. So I think that's pretty much what I
Yeah.
sort of see and how it kind of came up.
And also kind of Britain's take on Indian food has a bad kind of, the guys, in the pub, let's have a curry and, and vindaloo and all of
Yeah.
that, where, on a personal level, myself, it's about the spices and what goes into them. And I love the fact that you talk about your father and you have a legacy that's brought between Atrangi, I think is absolutely amazing to actually, and I know that, I am a great lover of your sauces, I mean, being vegetarian, these are, absolutely great. I recommend them that you can, put the sauces on the vegetables and also afterwards they're cooked, mix it in with a bit of yogurt on the, tofu and veg is just lovely. So I know that when I saw you last time, I'd run out and getting my quick fix was, and I understand it because, what you've said, it's exactly what's in the sauces, and you can see by the customers on Instagram that sort of love it. So probably a question to yourself, Chavi. Describe Atrangi and what makes your flavors unique?
So, Atrangi actually means something really out of the box and quirky in our
Lovely.
language,
Ooh,
Hindi,
yes.
which derives from Sanskrit, and and that's really the essence of our pots and our chutneys. How do we make them different? Of course, apart from calling them out of the box, we of course have ingredients in them which are all sourced freshly. Despite of them originating from India, we are a proudly British produced product, and that's the amalgamation of our roots and our upbringing that we
Yeah.
bring in. So
Yeah.
of course, I always say mind's always in the UK, heart's always in India, and that's sort of the
Yeah.
combination that we bring to our products as well. How are they unique? Of course, they're vegan, gluten free, nut free. They have no added sugars, no nasties, and no preservatives. And a lot of products can promise you that today, in today's age, right? They are free from. However, what we combine it with is that they have got a shelf life of a year. 6 months once open, which again gives people the flexibility to experiment with our jars.
Yes.
As much as we'd like them to eat it all up in one go, we also want them to consume it and savor it with their families, with
Yep.
their friends over time. And I think that's what makes our products different. Adding on to what Keith mentioned, you know, as we grew in our journey, this gem came up from, of course, his family recipes, and as we grew in it, I also started incorporating a lot of my family recipes into our product mix. So it's such a unique mix where
Mm.
he comes from an Anglo-Indian family, I
Yep.
come from a North Indian family. So it's
Love that.
basically a
Yeah.
mix of India, and it truly depicts the
Yeah.
the vast nature of our country.
Yeah.
Think,
And
yeah.
with a modern twist to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
And my parents were in the forces, just to go back as
Yeah.
well. So we traveled all over India.
yeah.
So I think he picked up a lot of flavors from north, south, east, west.
Yeah.
So if you look at our pots, they actually depict a different part of India.
Yeah.
So there are nigella seeds in a mango, which is from the south. There are curry leaves again from the south, but the spices, which Chavi mentioned, is from the north, so from her family.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good things and good mixes going on
Yeah.
in our jars.
Yeah. And bringing that mix together of both of your stuff, it's kind of there, the family
Yeah.
and what, and it's what makes it so unique and different, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you're almost selling a lifestyle of something that's
Yeah.
important to you, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So food is often deeply connected to culture and memories. Where do your recipes and flavor inspirations come from? I know we've talked about but if you could just a bit more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as of course, we mentioned it started very organically from when we started tasting Keith's family recipes in our sort of modern London corporate lifestyle.
Mm.
How our culture sort of is depicted in our products is that when we go back to original Indian cooking, it's a slow cooking methodology.
Mm.
It comes from a very slow paced life. It doesn't come from a very fast paced
Yeah.
life. So we have tried to sort of amalgamated the two.
Yeah.
It takes us about 8 hours to make our curry masala.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that you can imagine the amount of significance that 8 hours slow cooking,
Yeah.
all night cooking sort of holds. And that's what brings the flavor.
Yeah.
I think, culture, I think we've touched upon. I think it's a very North South Indian mix. It's also, we've got a very, very exciting range coming up, which is also influenced highly from the kind of curries that my mom or his, parents made back home. A lot of our recipes have sort of translated with us in our lives as we have grown up.
Yeah.
I've also noticed the things that I would usually say, why have you cooked this to my mother all the time? Like I would come back from school and be like, I don't want to eat this curry.
Yeah.
And of course, I started craving it when I stayed away from home. And that's what
Yeah.
we have, of course, managed to put in the
Yeah.
jar.
So at the moment, what's in your range as the sauce? I know they're on the
Yeah.
table. If you could explain a bit more about what your product range is, that'd be.
Currently have what you see on the
Yep.
table there. We have got a curry masala paste.
Yep.
So this is what I was talking about earlier. You can cook up in really easy,
Yeah.
vegan veggie curry, or if you want to do a chicken or a
Yeah,
fish curry, you can also do that. So it's super easy. Literally 1 teaspoon of that, tin of coconut milk, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not adding any extras, any oils, any sugars, no salts. So it's super, super healthy. So that's the first one. The second one is our tandoori tomato chutney.
Mm.
That has a lot of southern influence. So it has curry leaves, mustard seeds, and it goes really, really well on a cheese board. So people enjoy it. The gift box that you see actually behind it, the tomato goes a lot in our gift boxes because people buy up in Christmas. They use it on cheese boards. So yeah, that's been a
Eggs on
really
toast.
eggs on toast,
Yeah.
Oh,
cheese
try
toasties,
that. Yeah.
and people have also been using our tomato chutney in pastas. So
Yes.
it's kind of
Yeah.
like an Indo-Italian fusion,
Yeah.
if
Nice.
you think about that. So that's the tomato, and then I'd lastly had come to our hero, which is our mango masala
Yeah.
chutney. Mango chutney, as you know, in the UK is like tea
Yeah.
here, right? So, but we've given it a little twist.
Yep.
Again, the masala is our again our secret spice blend. We blended again 2 of our household spices that we normally used up in different meals.
Yep.
But again, they're super, super healthy spices. They're anti-inflammatory. They're gut friendly. So you're actually consuming them, and you're actually also helping your digestion at the same time. So that's been a super, super popular one.
Of course, to add to that, of course, they're super low in
Yeah.
calories as well. So we've made sure that, the sort of oils that we use, the amount of oil that we use, etc., the sugars, the
Yeah.
salts are all balanced, and they bring the right flavor. And of course, we are very excited to be launching this summer our entire full range, as we like to call it. Of course, we've got a Jungle Book theme going on,
Wow.
and we've got 2 marinades which are launching, which you'll hear about very soon.
Fantastic.
We'll probably have them in and probably launch them at one of the next curated by Dapper and Suave for sure. And then we have a range of curry sauces, which we actually, when we envisioned our business, that's where we wanted to get with our products. Of course, it takes a significant amount of time to understand sort of what the market demand is,
Yeah.
how it would run, what are the flavors. We have spent over the past 3 years developing the products that we are getting to the
Yeah.
market now. They're super special. They, again, are an amalgamation of our family recipes, but also they bring along the experiences that we have now lived and worked
Yeah.
in the UK, in the market, understanding the food industry, understanding our lovely
Yeah.
customers,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
have been with us for the past 3.5 years, and have been giving us good, bad, all kind of feedback, which makes
Yeah.
it so, so special, the journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say one of the things what I love about whenever you're at an event is I'm often there and then I can smell the sauces and it's just absolutely great,
Yeah.
because people get to taste them, but the smell it's just lovely. I
Yeah, yeah.
always kind of I know you're there. I could be blindfolded. I know you're there, but it's authentic, which
Yeah.
is really great, and people just love it and keep coming back for their and I'm sure on the next market there'll be those people who have run out that
Yeah.
Yeah.
and things as well. So running a business together as a couple must be quite an adventure. How do you balance working together and your personal life?
Yeah. I
I
think,
think I think
that's a good one.
Yes.
I think if I had to describe it in one word, I wouldn't do it any other way.
yeah.
And
Oh.
while, not to say that there are no sort of everything is super flowery.
Yeah.
Of course, we have our moments. Of course, days get tough.
Yeah.
But having said that, I think the way our strengths and weaknesses are balanced in this mix, it almost feels like hands coming in and joining in and fitting
Yeah.
perfectly. And I think that's the best part about running a business with him. And whilst we come from very similar backgrounds, both educationally and from our cultures, but we still, I think, have very offsetting strengths. So that what makes it special. I think in the past couple of years, we potentially did a good job of balancing our personal life with our business partner life, simply because we in our relationship, of course, reached that junction where you I'm pretty sure you understand this. You reach at one point in your partnership where you enter the sibling phase almost,
Yeah.
where there's, where you understand, and you wouldn't like, you always start feeling that this is a relationship I was sort of born with.
Yeah.
And that's when you start tolerating and working and enjoying each and every
Yeah.
aspect of being business partners as well as life partners. Whenever I would, of course, we're living in a very Instagrammable age. So I would open my Instagram and look at, oh, people are traveling, people are going here, people are going there, etc. And we would just be like stirring pots and making mango chutney and filling each jar. I would, of course, I have days like when I'll go to Keith and like, honestly, like I feel like, we might be missing on something. We want to live a bit more of our
Yeah.
lives. And then Keith, and with his really straight face, would be like, we have something so great to look forward to.
Yeah.
We're building such a beautiful brand, a
Yes.
legacy that
Yeah,
we are
yeah.
building for ourselves. I mean, this is absolutely, something which is priceless. Um, and yeah, we have chosen the hard life, as a couple, as young individuals. And I think you can
I
speak
mean,
a little
yeah.
bit more about it.
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without her as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's something I would start with. But then, yes, we've had days where we're like, oh my God, we
Yeah.
want to hit the table, room,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, we've had those tough sort of dark
Yeah.
days. But
Yeah.
then we've come out of it, and we've we've done so much together. If I look back 3 years, how we started. And where we are now, it just feels like how we've done it. Like,
Yeah.
we sit together if we're having a glass of wine sometimes
Yep.
with some cheese and our tomato
Yep.
chutney.
Plug
And
it.
we're we sit in there and we're like, how did we manage to do this?
Yeah.
How did I leave my corporate job, which was paying me a certain amount
Yeah.
of money? And how do we do it? Like, sometimes
Yeah.
we think about that, and she's like, yeah, I don't know. But I
Yeah.
think the reason for me having that strength 3 years ago, leaving my job, is actually her.
Yeah.
I remember that conversation we had in a car where she was like, well, you have to leave your job if you want to grow this
Yeah.
brand that you talk about or dream about. Then you have to leave your job. Otherwise, it's not going to go anywhere. And then I was like, but there's so much responsibility. There's pressure. The prices are going up. But then I think she was the one who pushed me to it. So we've had those days which have been really good. We've had some bad days, but I think, I wouldn't do it.
It's interesting because sometimes there are those situations in life where redundancies, COVID, all
Yep.
of those kind of bits. And then so there's those businesses that, hold on, I've got the sideline hustle, but you guys actually decided there wasn't redundancy. You decided to walk away from that,
Yeah.
which is a scary thing to do. But also sometimes it's not necessarily about the money, although it is, but it's also about having that legacy
Yep.
we talked about from your father but actually you sit there, and this is ours,
Mm.
and just now with the last person I was talking to, it's about, as business owners, about blowing your own trumpet and, banging your own drum and saying, wow, look what we've done. And you guys are quite on Instagram and you show your journey, and sometimes, this has gone wrong and that's gone wrong, but you're being honest, and I think you show a little bit more rawer, which if that's the right word, you don't, it's not all about that Instagram fluffiness that's all lovely. You actually show it as it really is. Turning up early hours of the morning, driving to those locations that sometimes might have been 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
You're outside in the freezing cold rain. There's a storm coming, but you smile and you get on with it because you have to, So I salute you both. You're, and I've seen your journey and some of the things that you've done and the mistakes, and actually learn from that. And move on, because it's about the journey.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's an amazing journey to be on, isn't it? So I think we kind of, the question here was, what strengths do each of you bring to the business? That's quite important. I see, I can see it
think-
straight away. I look at with myself and Rob and things that he's very good at,
Yeah.
and things, there's the heart and the head they talk
Yeah.
about. So I kind of see.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about your strengths.
I can take that question to start with. I think we definitely have different. I think I think this kind of leads on from the previous question, right?
Yes. Yeah.
In the start, we used to have a lot of issues, as we brought up in our conversation. But then we sort of said, we took a step back and we said, let's lead on our strengths.
Yep.
And let's help each other in our weaknesses. I
Yeah.
think that's how we will help each other
Yeah,
and the
definitely.
brand and the business and our baby to grow.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the strengths that I have and she has are completely different. So what I
Yeah.
manage or lead, I manage and lead the operational side of things. So the events or logistics and getting to a location, getting to curated
Yeah.
podcast today. What time do we have to go? So
Yeah.
I'd tell her. So all that financially, I think financially I would take the lead as well.
Yeah.
And then business development. So whether that's bringing in, new business, new events, retail, farm and delis. So I manage that. And I think Chavi manages the strategy.
Yeah.
I think that is really, really important. Without that, I don't think we'd be able to do the events or retail or business development. So I think that's super, super key. She also does a lot of good marketing. I
Yes.
think Instagram is
Yeah.
the strongest point.
Yeah.
I think marketing the brand is key.
Yeah.
And I think design is also her strength. So
Wow.
yeah, the brand, the colors, and the stuff that you see on the table is all her. All the branding, the leaves, the tigers that you will see on other labels, I think it's all her.
I'm
So
excited for the new range already.
sometimes when I see the label, I'm like, wow, like
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like from the first, draft
Yeah.
to the final draft. I mean, we've been on like different design calls or branding calls, and
Sure.
I jump in or I jump out. But then from day 1 to let's say day 45, there's
Yeah.
a massive difference. I've missed like 20 days in between because I was running around doing
Yeah.
other stuff. But then when I joined back on day 40 and I see like, okay, wow, this
Yeah.
is amazing. So that's all her.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful balance, as Keith mentioned.
Yeah.
I think as I mentioned, of course, our education background is very similar, but what we ought to do in our life was quite different. I think the common point is that we both are, we always wanted to create a brand, a
Yeah.
food brand. Um, I mean, I come from a business family.
Yeah.
So I've had years of seeing how businesses are built, which of course is very heavily ingrained in my mind. Our dinner table conversations would be, talking about to a 5-year-old asking, "Do you have any new business ideas?" And that's always really, really interesting. And of course, as Kate mentioned, the way he manages the cash flow and the finance. Of course, he's a chartered accountant by profession as well, by the way. So the way he manages the business tightly, I think that's key, because I think without that, that's the backbone of the business. The community I come from in India is a business community, and we always say that there are only two things that the business lasts on. One is the cash flow, how
Yep.
much is going and how much is coming. And
Yep.
second is the profit. What's the plus?
Yeah.
So that's all we talk about. And I think that's what he manages really, really tightly and strongly. And of course, as he mentioned, strategy, I think,
But before that, I do not come from a business family.
yes,
Right.
he
I
does.
come from a family. I've never been in a business family. So I come from a family, how she was saying, she comes from a business family and she's seen that in her,
Sure.
dinner tables. I've
Yep.
never seen that.
Right.
So my mum was in the Indian Army. My dad was in the Indian Air
Wow.
Force. Their parents were also in the armed forces. So my
Yeah.
dad's dad was in the army. My
Wow.
mom's dad was in the Air Force. We've had 3 generations in the Indian
Wow.
forces.
Yeah.
So everybody, while I was growing up, everybody was like, "Oh, are you going to join the Navy? Because you've done the army, you've done the Air Force, so are you going to go to the Navy?" So yeah, I never thought that I'd be running a business, but I always wanted to do that. So
Yeah.
my mum's brother is a businessman, so I've always kind of looked up to him.
Yeah.
Any ideas or any stuff that goes on. So yeah, but you can carry on. I just wanted to bring that
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
front.
No, that's very important. That's very important. And I always commend him on that, because once you've seen that sort of in your life, taking risks becomes difficult but still a little easier, bit more digestible. Because I've seen back home times being tough, but then times being really, really good, because
Yeah.
that's the nature of running a business.
Yeah.
But absolute applause to him, and of course applause to me for supporting him
Yeah.
and pushing him in that way, because that was my aspiration. And then meeting a partner where we both are doing a corporate job, it was difficult to understand
Yeah.
whether our future together holds in the same purpose of being.
Yeah.
And it's so pretty, it's
Yeah.
honestly really beautiful that we've managed to do that. But I think I was talking about the strategy bit.
Yeah.
Another clear line of division of work that we have is that because I'm almost a daydreamer, I'm a good strategist. And Keith is somebody who doesn't his brain doesn't stop until he has done what he had set out to do. He's got what he gets from his background is a lot of discipline, a lot of militant values, where he's very meticulous about getting things done and in order. And he's always, yeah, he's really orderly. And my brain is all over the place. So that's the sense of calm that comes through, where he's like, okay, what are you thinking? Can we discuss it so that we can
Ah,
bring that idea to execution? And I think that's also a beautiful balance
I
in a
love
more
it.
holistic
It's flipped.
sense.
There were
Yeah.
bits about
Yeah.
you that I
Yep.
thought was the other way,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I think as well, isn't it? I think in lockdown when myself and Rob, we both lost our jobs, but what we did is we had job titles and all
Mm.
of that, and it got to the point where if you have an issue, HR is upstairs, and that's the two cats, so you go and have a little chat to them. But it was really, and I get it that you do this. And
Yeah.
that's what I do, and you do that, and then you come together.
Yeah.
But don't step on anyone.
No.
This is what I do. I do it well. You do this, and then come together
Yeah.
as a marriage as such. I love as well one of the things that it went and then went, and you called your business your baby.
Yeah.
Now I love that, because back in the days when weekends would be filled with us going to markets or wedding fairs, we would call it our children. So, there were other people that were
Yeah.
very invested in kind of like, taking the kids to swimming or to the brownies or wherever it might be. And we're like, well, we're doing the way. And it was
Yeah.
that bit where our businesses almost became our babies. And now when I look back now, those two babies, that I'm self-employed and I run two businesses, I'm very proud of my
Yeah.
babies. And, there might be people who are very proud of their children.
They've grown up.
Yeah, and you watch them
Yeah.
grow up.
And
You
they-
watch them evolve. You watch, you've got the
Yeah.
next stage of your new products. It's
Yeah.
they're going to
Mm.
university now, and
Yeah.
the babies are growing up.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
then- And then strangely, while you talk about babies, when people come to our event, our stall at an event
Yeah.
or like a boutique event, and they'd ask us to pick my favorite. I'm like, you're asking me to choose between my children. I can't do that. I honestly can't choose between the mango or the curry or the tomato. So
Yeah.
choosing between your children. So, but it is
Yeah.
like that. You see them grow, and then
Yeah.
we can't wait for
What's to come.
What
what's to
comes
come.
next? Yeah.
So one of the questions, and I see it at markets, and you're great with your Instagram of your customers. So what do you enjoy about meeting the customers face to face? Because that's how your brand has grown. Definitely.
Absolutely. I think it's really special when sort of you see your product translate into family dinners,
Yeah.
children's tiffin boxes, and picnics and parties. I think people ordering for their friends is one of the most beautiful sort of feeling that we get. We get orders from all across the world
Wow.
where people are ordering products in the UK for their friends, and that is just so beautiful.
Mm.
I think when we started off, and I know we started off from the Greenwich Market, which is a very, very popular. It's one of the. It's a heritage location for not only London but the entire UK. And that's where we started, and that was our training ground where we spoke to people. We understood. We had a very different offering then back in
Yeah.
2021 with our products. We understood what they were trying to say. Who are we targeting towards?
Yeah.
Who's going to actually buy our product? What price are they going to buy it at?
Yeah.
So I've seen sort of in the past 3 years in about roughly 400 to 500 events and markets, that our product is evolved because of our customers.
Yes.
And that's why when you look at our Instagram, a lot of it reflects the happy faces of our
Yeah.
customers, children's mothers feeding their children, children feeding their mothers, couples enjoying our products, using it on a date and wine night, and then sort of just large, big families come on Christmas events and summer events and the food festivals. And, um, I, my best moment is when parents and children are fighting that who's going to pay for our products because they all have managed to buy 2 jars each. So customers, uh, what I'm trying to say is customers, of course, build our business with us in a way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion and a lot of fear that I had when we were starting the business. And not only that, when I was sort of growing up in the UK,
Yeah.
that, of course, I am from India and we
Yep.
hear so much chatter around, acceptance,
Yep.
um, uh, you know, basis of, your color, where you
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
from. And we're a proudly brown owned, brand. And I have never felt a single moment in our journey where we have not felt supported.
Perfect. Yeah.
And that is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
There have been so many families from different backgrounds in
Yeah.
the entire UK, whether they may be British, whether they come from the a larger Europe
yeah.
region, whether they are coming from the Americas, Australians, South Africans. I
Yeah.
think our product has, been accepted, and we have been accepted so beautifully by them. That is something that I always, whenever we hear news of something which is which has the undertones of where I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just almost always beg to differ, because sometimes you say, okay, this in some areas, in some regions of the UK, there might be people who have been locally brought up,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
might not have the world view of where curries are
Yeah.
coming from, where we are coming from. But that's never been the case.
Yeah.
Even if somebody who comes and asks us, what is this? They also do it with so much respect and love, and they end up buying so much because they enjoy it. And that's the kind of acceptance that I think our customers bring into our brand, which gives us a lot of confidence that we're building this at the right time, right place, with the right people.
Perfect. And I love that, because one of the things that is really important for our events, it's about community, it's about connection, but also diversity, inclusivity is key.
Yeah.
And that is important for me, and it will remain. And I very much hold those values. And I will tell you now, if anyone ever comes to our market and I hear anything that's, racist,
Yeah.
homophobic, they will be asked to leave.
Mm.
And that even goes for any stallholders. I've seen it in the past, and I've seen things that have said, and I will not tolerate it, and I will not
100%.
put up. And especially now, what's going on in the world, we
Mm.
need to more than ever come together. And I love the fact that you're in a situation now that somebody can come along and they've gone away. That's the sources have made them happy, and it's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to go home tonight, have a date night,
Mm.
and that's what's more important, isn't it? Of just coming to an event and just forgetting about whatever. And it doesn't matter about the color of your skin. It doesn't matter. And, those people that might want to say those things, go and do them, but don't do. And I think it's changed. I think it has
Mm.
changed a lot. When I grew up as a child on the Isle of Wight, a lot of words that I would use, and
Yeah.
I don't like to hear those words, and they are not accepted anywhere. And I will, people know that. So yeah, and it's what you said is, I think, is really lovely, because people, you're almost changing their mindset of what they think of other people. And that is by having a conversation and understanding what the source is, what goes into it. You can talk to them about spices, and they might, they've got a spice cupboard at home where they
Yeah.
probably, it's out of date and things like that. I personally have a spice drawer, and I love it.
Yeah.
I just love spices, the grounding and all of
Yeah.
that. So I get it. And just, getting people to learn a little bit more,
Yeah.
learn a bit more.
It's not only about, them changing our minds, but us changing their minds, but also them changing ours.
Yes.
Because I've seen so many
Yeah.
parents telling their kids that, you need to try this. You should try this.
Yes.
This is, a beautiful cuisine. Or kids coming and saying to their parents that we want to buy this mango
Yeah.
chutney, mom, because this is like something that we use and we love curries.
The amount of love and affection we get from people, like
Yeah.
Chavi was saying, is incredible. And I
Yeah.
think that makes me the most happiest. I think seeing people happy when they
Yes.
try our stuff
Yeah.
makes me super, super happy.
Yeah.
Like that's the best feeling, the best feeling that I can ever get. I don't need anything else in that moment, that time, when I see those happy faces when they try our stuff on crackers and stuff. And
Yeah.
that's the most happiest bit.
And also, I look at it, I look at, who our customer is at Curated. It's anything from a 5-year-old to a 100-year-old. You as your sources, it appeals to everyone. That you're, and that's what's really lovely, isn't it? That I love the fact that you're talking about children are actually educating their parents and them thinking they might not like it. And there's been the flip side where I used to see, parents saying to the children, "You won't like that.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
on,
Yeah,
and
just
let them
try
try.
it.
Let them
try
try it.
it."
But then there are parents who actually bring their children
Yeah.
to our store in particular. And
Yeah.
they're like, you should try
Should
it
try.
Yeah.
Yes.
because these are flavors that you
Yep.
won't get
Yeah.
in your normal
Exactly.
day-to-day occurrence. So you should try it.
And most of those, I imagine, I haven't tried, but with some nice chips.
Yeah,
Lovely. Yeah.
Oh,
they're-
yeah. So, yeah, children have them on cheese toasties mostly.
Yeah.
So, it traditionally, of course, here, parents in the lunch boxes, when they put a cheese toastie, they would do like ketchup or something, which has a lot
Yeah.
of preservatives,
Yeah.
sugars, and of course, they replace it with our tomato or mango,
Lovely.
which makes it really beautiful for them. So,
I've got I'll be trying some new things now. There we go. I kind of asked the question here, but I think I said what's next for Atrangi are new flavors,
yeah.
products on plans for the horizon. Do you want a little bit about that, or is it top secret?
So of course, we recently launched our 3 key products. They come from the Jungle Book family. We've got the jungly tandoori marinade,
Lovely.
the tiger tikka marinade, and we've got our mint and coriander chutney, which joins our chutney family to make it a trio.
Love it.
So those are the 3 that we've got some great response on. We of course when we set out to build our brand, as I mentioned earlier, we had these products so specifically in mind that we wanted to get into the market, but it takes a lot of time, trial and errors, a lot of pH water testing, a
Yeah.
lot of sort of making sure that what we're getting onto the table is the right product for our customers, not only with the taste profile, but also the nutrition. The nutrition values, the fact that we're making it without any preservatives takes us a lot of time to make them balanced with
Yep.
water and salts and acidity. So we've done a lot of trial and error to
And
get
I'm
to
happy
here.
to say we launched them at the Denby's Wine
Yeah.
Estate market in
Perfect.
April,
Yep.
and they went like down as a treat.
Yeah. They
We
were
were
great.
completely sold out.
Yep.
The feedback that we got was incredible. So we were super, super happy and excited about the next stage. The next stage is going to be our curry sauces. I think that's just a bit of a teaser that we're going to drop, but hopefully you'll hear a bit more on those now. We've
Yeah,
got some
yeah, yeah.
really
Perfect.
nice flavors coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's on horizon is extremely. It's a bit of a emotional ride moving on from here. Whenever in business that you feel like the arrow is being pulled back to bring it forward, I think we're at that phase where
Yeah.
we are ready with our range. We know our customers well. We know our flavors well. I think now it's time where we're really trying to build our distribution.
Yep.
So we are, of course, growing and learning and going to we're meeting a lot of buyers who have a lot of interest in our products.
Yep.
We're meeting a lot of online and offline retailers. We recently met one of the biggest giant retailer in the world, and we're so excited about that. But of course, it's a balance of where sometimes we have to pinch ourselves and say, okay, are we ready to do this? And it's
Yeah.
like we might be, we might not be, and it's just like that phase where we're really working towards that. So that's a lot of
And
fun.
it's almost not getting overexcited. I think
Mm.
that's also really important. I think sometimes you can get super, super excited. You get
Yeah.
a big order and you're like, yeah, I want to do this. I want
Yeah.
to go into retail. But I think what's most important for both of us, and I think we've talked about this, is growing at the right pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't want to go at a pace where you're looking back and thinking why we did this, or I think that's really important.
So
I
staying
think
grounded.
staying grounded at the same time and taking it slowly. I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Don't jump before you can leap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably quite a few
Absolutely.
sayings out there.
So it's the
Absolutely.
right balance
Yeah.
that we're kind of figuring out.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
And we talked about this in some of the podcasts. And actually saying no, is that something that you've cut? Yeah. Is it something now, instead of, yeah, let's do this, are you kind of now reining it back into actually say, no, we don't want to get bit this, it might be a great offer, but saying no, is that something?
See,
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Especially for her. So
see, as entrepreneurs, I always believe that when you say no, there's an opportunity cost to it.
Yeah.
And as we are two, there's a double opportunity cost to it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as much as saying no might be beneficial, but more often than not, it's always detrimental in my Bible, in my book.
Right.
So saying no is something that should we learn? Yes, but I feel like with our age, with our brand, we can still have a few more years where we can go ahead and say a lot of yeses
Yeah.
and manage to do it, and then be more strategic and say the no's.
Yeah.
So yes, we're getting better.
Yep.
But are we there?
Yeah.
Not yet.
So the last question is, what do you enjoy about being part of the Curated by Dapper and Suave events and community?
I think it's a lot of I think the way the markets and events are curated. I think the traders that I see on my left to right, or when I
Yeah.
before we've set up and I go for a walk before we start the market, I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful. The amount
Thank
of
you.
I think the curation, you can see that. I think it's different traders. There's not a lot of repetition.
No.
You get a lot of good and even the people who are trading there are super, super nice. I think that really helps. That's the first part. I think for me, the second part is the people that we spoke about in this
Yeah.
podcast. I think the community, the people, the families, the couples, I think that we meet there is just incredible. I think
Yeah.
as we mentioned, we've done around a lot of events last year,
Yeah.
but I think Dapper and Suave has been one of the events the markets, the events that we always look forward to.
Thank you.
I think
Yeah.
it's super, super nice. I also love the fact that you have different themes going on. Sometimes you have a Bridgerton theme. I think I was at the festive at
Yes.
the market,
Yeah.
and I looked on my right, and there was a person juggling
Yeah.
bottles with fire, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, that's
Oh.
amazing. I wish I could leave my stall and go
Join
out
him.
Yeah.
and then join in.
Yeah.
And there was a lot
Yeah.
of people, kids. I could see they were having lots
Yeah.
and lots of fun.
Chickens. The
Yeah.
bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and street food. I'm a massive fan of street
Yeah.
food. I think the street food at your markets is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
so-
coffee is really good as
and
well.
coffee is really good.
To add to that, it's so funny. The moment you asked this question, the first thing which popped in my head was, I was at an event this Christmas, and middle of talking to a customer, and I get 5 missed calls from Keith, who was at the Denby's festive event.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm panicking because I think I have not bought enough
Oh
stock.
yeah, I remember. this.
And I've got about in 1 hour he was sold out. He was absolutely sold out.
Yeah.
And I think that is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And also one more thing that I wanted to add is, if you look around our place, little bobs and pieces, a lot of it come from the curated market.
Yeah.
Yeah, including the honey that we get,
Yep.
including the ceramics that we have in our house. We've got some beautiful pots as well.
Including your earrings that
A
I bought.
lot of my earrings.
Yeah.
A lot of my earrings.
Last market, remember? I was buying her some
Oh
earrings.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
A lot of gifts that I get from there for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
You tell him what you like.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
absolutely. Yeah.
I go and fetch
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And of course, the skincare, I buy a lot of my skincare from my market as
Perfect.
well. And the chocolate that we had last
Oh,
time, the
yeah,
coffee
that was so
chocolate
good.
was so good. So I
We still
think
have,
we also enjoy the experience
Yeah.
so much, just being around, shopping for
Yeah.
ourselves, for our loved ones, for our house.
Yeah.
It is very lovely. It's a
Perfect.
beautiful
Thank you.
community.
I have been working very hard this year, so I've been probably about 50 brand new businesses are joining
Wow.
us.
Yeah.
So,
More to shop
which,
from.
yeah, more to shop from, you know, and
Um,
that's feedback from things that we haven't got, looking out for
Yeah.
other things. And I haven't
Yeah.
got that. I want that. So,
Yeah.
you know, then,
and I'm excited to see new themes as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
The
different.
seasonal ones at Denby's is
I love that.
interesting, and
Yeah.
there will be some little surprises at some of them. Although we can't, you know, and we talked earlier about street food.
Yeah.
We haven't got the street food at Denby's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you know, other venues will allow
Yeah,
us
yeah.
to have street food. We will have street food. So the last thing as well, if you want to let people know where they can find out about you,
Yeah.
your socials, and if you want to shout out about any kind of shops that are local, anything like that, you're more than welcome to, because obviously people can buy your products
Mm.
at the markets, or there might
Yeah.
be while they're out and about. So feel
Yeah.
free to
Yeah.
do that.
We love to serve our customers through our online website, which we have built very, very meticulously. If you go on our website, which is www.weareatrangi.com, you'll have an experience of actually cycling through India, and that's what we have tried to achieve through that. Apart from that, of course, we are available in local London shops like Panzers and Harvest, Two Peas in a Pod, Tom's and Basil's, and of course we are striving and thriving to come nearer to you through multiple online channels very soon.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, both of you,
Thank
Chavi
you
and Keith,
so
for
much.
joining me today.
It was
been
really
great.
fantastic.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for
So
having
much
us.
fun.
Yeah,
Thank
it was a lot of
you.
fun.